Hi, and welcome to Global Student Voices, the podcast that brings you exciting stories and invaluable insights from students, educators, and thought leaders around the world. I'm your host, Coach Martin, with 30 years of experience in international education. Join us each time when we navigate the exciting journey between international secondary school and university. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to the show. I'm Coach Martin, and I'm here with Lara today. I'm very excited. We got to chat a little bit a couple of weeks ago, and I'm very excited about what you're doing. You are exactly who this show was created for, and why we do this. And I'm excited on so many levels. I don't even know where to begin, but let's begin by you just telling us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much, Scott, for this space. I'm really excited about this. And well, to introduce myself, I will start saying that around like 7 years ago, I was in college in my country, Spain. And then I say like, okay, this is not what I want. I have been playing tennis all my life, but I have to stop because in this country in Spain, it's not like the US that you can combine the sports and college. So I stopped playing, and then I say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna try. I know that there's a path to go to the US. So I try, and I was able to get a scholarship and admission, and I get to study in the US and continue my major. During this process, well, it was the best experience of my life. I will say yes again if they tell me, do you want to go again? I say, of course. I don't have to think about it. It's an amazing experience. I end up in Iowa, which I didn't know that state at all before going there. I remember saying to my people close to me, like, I'm going to Iowa. I was like, what's that? But I think that's actually make it better because the fact that you're in a place that there's nothing around compared to Madrid where I live here in Spain, it gave me so much, so much experience and perspectives. So yeah, and then I complete my major in psychology, and then I say, I want to continue this experience in the US. So I end up in Miami, and in Miami, I joined an amazing organization, a nonprofit that is called Educate Tomorrow, and I was there like around 3 years. Again, it was also another amazing experience. At the same time, I was able to do my master in social and community change, where I was able to meet like people from all over the world and different areas. And honestly, that was these two experiences in the US is what made me who I am today. And I'm so happy about that. I'm so proud of the decision that I made, even though it wasn't easy at the beginning. And yes, that's who I am right now and what I did.
That is amazing, and I think that's a very common theme that we hear as I talk to students around the world who've studied abroad, whether it's the U.S. or another country. That experience is so defining for them, and it's so rich. It adds a whole. It's almost, I guess I would describe it almost like getting multiple degrees at the same time. You get your academic degree, but you also get a level of learning and experience in addition to that I think is just as valuable as the degree itself. I think and in combination, I think it's just amazing. Um, in your experience, the the tennis kind of opened a door for you. Can you tell us a little bit about how tennis was instrumental in you doing your schooling?
Yeah, of course. Well, I have a belief before that in order to go to the US and play any sport like tennis, you have to be like a top athlete and a top student, right? And that's not true. And my experience, it was like that before, because since I stopped playing tennis, I didn't have any ranking, I didn't practice. So, of course, my level wasn't as good as before and compared to other players at that moment. So people told me like, no, you can do it. But then I say, why not? And for me, tennis was like a tool, like a bridge to go
Mhm.
to the US and study, because it is true that the US is one of the, I would say, maybe the only country that support athletes in this way. They can give you big scholarships so you can afford college. Moreover, when you're an international student, that you are not like saving money as an American, like you just go to college in the end. So this tennis for me, it was that tool that helped me to have this experience, and this belief for me is what make me like wanted to share with other people, because there are some students say like, I'm not good enough, I cannot do that, I cannot go to other country to play or to study. I say no, that's not true. There is always a place for everyone. You just have to want it to go there, and find the place, because there's so many colleges, so many teams, and there's always a coach or someone that is gonna want to be with you. So it's just go for it, and for me, the sentence that made me go there, it was like, if not now, when? That was what hit my head in that moment, and say, you know what, now is the moment. I'm gonna try. I don't have anything to lose, and no one is gonna tell me like I'm not good enough. So I want to break that belief to for everyone, because you can do it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And did you play the whole 4 years of your degree in Iowa?
Yeah, well, I did only 2 years because I was a transfer student from
Oh, sure.
Spain, and yeah, and then when I graduated, I did my OPT. For those that don't know what it is, it's like you have a year to work related to your field. It's like a visa
Hmm.
that they give it to international students. So I did my OPT, and then I transferred to a work visa, a temporary work visa that gave me the opportunity to stay even longer. And that was the process. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. The target audience for this podcast is for international schools and the students and parents that are there. But I know that there are current college students listening as well, and I would just I think you did college well. What do you think you did that made it such a good experience for you?
For me, well, first of all, it was the fact that you meet people from all over the world. In my tennis team, for example, there's no nationality repeated. Like it was me from Spain, my coach was from France. Then I have another teammate from England, Ukraine, South Africa. So it was such an amazing experience because, well, first of all, you are there and you are apart, like you are not in your house, right? Like you are in another culture, language. So when you get along with people that they have the same experience and they are also learning the English, because when I was there, like my English wasn't like right now, of course. I remember like my teammates saying like, Lara, I thought you were rude at the beginning because you were so quiet. And say, yeah, I was quiet because I didn't understand anything at all that you were saying. So what am I gonna say, And then you catch it so quickly. So for me, it was the people from all over the world, the diversity, and then also the fact that in the US, the flexibility that they give you to create your own major, your own curriculum. Here in my country, for example, like you have to study one thing and everyone study the same thing. Here in the US, you can create a curriculum, even though you have a major, and of course there's like core areas and classes, but at the same time you can take from different areas, and for example, in my case, I was studying psychology, but then I add a minor in biology. If I was staying in Spain, that wasn't possible at all.
Yeah.
So that was also an amazing experience to have, because you are also in class with people from other areas, not just psychology. And I will say that the third one is the fact that I was able to play tennis. Not just because I was having practice and competing in tennis, because also you matter, like when you're a student athlete, people see you, they value you, like they know it's not easy to combine both academics and sports, and they see you as a very important person in the college, and that for me, it was something that I needed at that time, and it was amazing to feel that way. Like I remember one day I was walking on the gym, like close to the gym, and in a wall there was like this presidential wall, and my face was in there. I was like, okay, what's this? And it was because I was having the best GPA on the team on during that fall, and I didn't know that was a thing. But the recognition, like they recognize that you are doing a great job. I think that's vital in a student life. Well, any person, but as a student during that age, I think is so important. And then you travel, you travel so much with the sports. I get to travel
Yeah.
to many states and everything. And I mean, that was in the hotels and in travels, like it was so much fun.
Yeah, I think people forget about a lot of those benefits and the value that those add um, to your whole experience. So whether or not you're, even if I think for students who maybe even go to a college and they don't get an athletic scholarship, but they do have some athletic ability and they want to continue that, all the benefits that we experienced as youngsters in sport continues at university, and I coached soccer at a Division III school, so no athletic scholarships, but we had amazing athletes, um, and they worked really hard, and it helped them balance their academics. They were better students because they were in sports, and they got all those benefits of travel and camaraderie, and I think you're exactly right. I think we all need to be seen,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of ways to be seen and to separate and distinguish yourself. And to me, every student can do that. I also think that if sports is kind of an easy way to do that. I mean, it's difficult to balance, that hard work is difficult, but it doesn't require as much personal initiative to establish yourself in a community if you can do that through sport. It gives you an automatic community to automatically join. You're automatically part of the community, and it's definitely your university, right? They give you clothes that show you that you go to that school, um, and that matters. When I was the director at a university, I printed T-shirts for my students so that would wear around that says my Anderson, my university. This is my university, because I think that's so important to feel like you belong to something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
Hey there, GSV listeners. Before we dive back into our conversation, I wanted to take a moment to thank our incredible guests, the students, school officials, and thought leaders who inspire us with their stories and insights. As you're listening today, be thinking of ways that you can support the guests of this show. There are links in the descriptions with just some of the ways. I'm Coach Martin, your host and your partner in navigating the university journey. Whether you're exploring university options, preparing for admissions, or seeking support during your academic path, my books provide practical guidance and insights to empower your university success. Join me in individual coaching, group sessions, or courses designed to equip you for university life and beyond.
I am from Brazil, but I attended an American school in Indonesia for my secondary education. So you know my situation was really confusing and really scary. Coach Martin really understands global students, and he loves helping us out.
Again, thank you for listening. Explore the podcast description for links and resources and contacts discussed in today's episode. Visit www.theglobalstudentsolutions.com to learn more and embark on your journey toward university success. Now, let's return to our conversation. Laura, I'm really excited about what you're doing now, like what you've chosen as an initiative that you're leading. Tell me more about what you're doing now.
Well, so as I mentioned before, I was a student athlete, right? So in order to do that, I reached out to an agency that they help you to get to the US, to get admissions, to get scholarships and everything. And now, like looking back, I realized that the process wasn't very personalized. Like they didn't really care about me, they just care about like putting another student in the US. I didn't have all the information that I wish I knew before, like for example, in my case, I was with tennis, so they didn't tell me that my college, the one that I was choosing, didn't have indoor tennis courts. And in Iowa, it's cold like most of the time, so you need to play inside. So we're playing the rec center. Of course, my experience was amazing even though, but I think that I deserve all the information and I didn't have it at that time. And I made a decision that maybe if I have all the facts and information, I will maybe make another decision, another choice, or maybe not, but at least I have all the information. So now I say, you know what? I'm gonna create an organization, an agency to help international students to find the right place for them, not just getting placed into a college. And that's how GPAthletes was created. It was created because it's my passion to share this amazing experience that I live. I want others to know that this is a possibility. I really believe that right now in society, success is related to opportunities. And this opportunity is very close to many, 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 many students in the world, but they don't know about it. So I just want them to know you have this opportunity. You can choose to take it or not, but just that you have this path. That's one thing, and then another thing is I want them to feel that they don't have to be the number one, in their sports or academics or even personally, like I say before, there is always a place for you. So in my case, I don't want to focus on the top athletes, because when you're a top athlete or top student, most of the time people are going to see you, so you have opportunities. But when you are not that top student at that time, and not because you are not top, because maybe like situation, or because when you don't have the self-esteem, sometimes your potential doesn't show up. So I want to focus on all those students that they feel that they're not enough, to show them that yes, they are more than enough, and there's this opportunity that you can follow. So for me, GPAthletes, I guess, is a result of my experience and me as a person, that I really care about students. I really care about them, like knowing everything, like I want them to have all the information. I want them to make the decision. I don't want them to choose for them. So that's how it was created, and that's what I'm doing right now, like helping all these students to reach their goals, and even those goals that they don't have yet, but they could get.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And one of the things I love about you and what you're doing is it's very much in line with what I do. I'm also really passionate about making sure that people have all the right information, that they find that I believe there is a good fit for every student. And the reason I'm excited about partnering with you and showcasing what you're doing is because I don't have the connections in athletics, and I think that there is a wonderful opportunity. And so and I don't want students to have an experience where they feel like they're cattle being herded in one direction or another. I think what you're doing is recognizing that individual. Your background in psychology, I think, is obviously really important, and you're obviously really compassionate and passionate about working with students. So certainly want to encourage student athletes, regardless, like you said, regardless of what level you are. If you say, "Oh, I'm not even the best on my team, how can I possibly do this in college?" Not everybody in college was the best on their team. And certainly you don't have to be the number one athlete to compete. We all know there's only one number one in every sport, but that doesn't mean we don't all have a place. And I think that's what's really beautiful about what you're doing. Tell me a little bit about, let's say a student is a student athlete that they really love their sport. They have enough thought about continuing it at the university level that they've reached out to you. Tell me a little bit about the process. Like, how do they work with you? What does that look like?
Well, so first of all is like getting to know the student. So beyond sports, that's how we do it. So we get to know them and say, okay, what is that you want? What are you looking for? What are your aspirations? Like, what are your needs? And then we also focus on the sport part. If the student played sports, because we also help students that they don't play any sport, it's just academics or artistic scholarships. There are many ways of doing it. So we focus on that aspect, like sports, for example, and we compile all the information. Then we go also to academics, like how are you doing academically. We get all the documents, all the grades and everything. And then we also tell them, okay, now is also your time to write down like a little bit about yourself, because when we are going to contact universities and coaches, we don't just want them to say, okay, here, this is a student, he's like a B plus, and he played this tournament, blah, blah, blah. No, we also want them to know this is, like Scott, and Scott likes to do this, and his values are this, and he was volunteering, for example, in some places, and he would like to do this in the future. So we want them to know the student as a person, so that's what we do at the beginning. Once we have all of this, then we start contacting universities and coaches, all of them that we can. Like, I don't want to close any door. If they close doors, they will do it for me. I'm not gonna do it for them. So I contact as much as possible, even though it takes time, yes, but I want them all the possibilities, opportunities that they are for them at that moment. Once we start receiving the offers, then it's like a communication with the student and the family that is involved all the time. And then we help them to do a research about those options, because even though I have experience with many universities and I have contact with many of them, there's so many. So it's impossible for a person that works on this sector to know every single thing about every college and team in the US. So since I know that that's not possible, I'm going to help you, and together we're going to do a research of all the things. Like I said before, does this college have tennis courts, indoor tennis courts? Does it have like the mayor that you want? And then, I don't know, many things, the little things that makes a difference, and also, for example, if the student doesn't want like a big college because he's more like an introvert and wants like a small community, then we are going to focus on that. Once we have the offers that the student wants to follow, we are going to fight so much for those scholarships to get them as much as possible, then we help also with all the documentation, like the admissions, all the communication with the college. It goes through us, because we also know that English is not the first language for many students and families. We help them to set up all the meetings so they can know them in like face to face. All the visa, that I know is sometimes is the most boring part of the process. And then also, once they are going to travel there, we help them to set up, another thing that I remember in my experience is like, I end up in Iowa at 9 p.m. I think I got to the university, and I didn't have any pillow. I didn't have anything for the bed, nothing at all, because again, now no one told me, hey Lara, get ready, because there's nothing in the room for you, just a bed. So I was lucky that in my case, my roommate was an American, so she was so well prepared and she gave me like everything that I needed that time. But this is something that I want to prevent, So when a student is going to college, we're going to get them like a whole list of things that you need, advices, and it's personalized, because depending on where you are going, the US is huge. So it's not the same if you go to the south, to the north, to the east, city, town. So we're going to help them to be ready once they get there. And then during the experience in college, is like total communication with them. Like, I want to see, how they are doing. I always follow them on social media. I'm so happy to receive pictures from them, videos, and I always tell them like, how are you doing? Even though we told them and their family, if you need something, just reach me out. But if they don't do it, I do it, because I just care about how they are doing. So it's basically from the beginning until, never, maybe, like indefinite, because when they graduate, if they are doing amazing things, I want to know, and I love to be in contact with them. So it's like a whole process that we help them out.
Yeah, That's fantastic. I love the way that you're going about this. It makes my heart really happy. I still have students that I worked with over 20 years ago that I'm still getting. In fact, I'm now talking to them as their kids are getting ready to go to college, um, and and that's not normal. That I think a lot of people see this as a business, not as a service. And um, to me, the best part of this isn't in pay. The best part of this is in the relationships and the connections. And I just I love seeing students flourish, and you do too. And I think that's where students get a huge advantage working with you. I hope that students um, who are considering athletics at all as part of their package, or at least even just they've done athletics and want to see if that will open any doors for them.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they reach out to you. We're certainly going to do what we can to promote that on our website. This podcast is part of that story. I hope we get to do this again. Um, if you're listening in and want to get in touch with Laura, you can find her information. It will be on our website. It also will be a link in the description to this video, so you will be able to directly reach out, see what she has. And as always, for either of us, reach out, have a conversation. If it's not a good fit, you're not under any obligation. This is a zero risk um, situation. And I think, I don't know what students are thinking exactly when I know that students are very intimidated by the process. And what I love is there's nothing intimidating about you. They should absolutely just reach out, have a conversation, see where it goes. Um, and, like you said, there good things can happen. There's good opportunities that students just don't know about and can't find on your own. Like it's unrealistic to think that a student can find a place for them in their sport on their own. Like there's 4,000, 5,000 good schools, like good places to go, and figuring out who has opportunities. What are you going to do? Call everyone? Like it's just impossible. So I love that you're there, Laura, and I love that what your team is doing. Any last thoughts for students or families about working with you, or just any encouragement for them?
Well, I will say I'm finished with the sentence that I said before. If not now, when? You don't have anything to lose. Your home is gonna be there always. Even if you try and you don't like it, experience, you can always come back. So I always say it's better to try and go back than don't try and then years after say like, oh, I wish I made that decision. So nothing to lose. Like I say, there's so many good things about this experience. And also I want to say that my future goal is to create like a whole big community of international students. And that's why like when I talked to you, Scott, it was like an amazing fit, because what you are doing is that like making sure that all international students are connected, because that's so important for us when we get to another country. So that's what GPAthletes is also about, create that community worldwide, and yeah, just go for it. I think I don't have anything else to say.
Yeah, I will say that I look forward to us continuing to work together, so that as students who maybe come through GSS, through my college coaching, go to the States to study, or whether they go through you, that we'll be in communication, so that if we have students at the same school or in the same area, we can help you create that network. Like you don't have to do it on your own. Um, I've been meeting with students at a couple of universities here this fall, and they're doing a good job about building community on their campus, and we want to be able to plug students into that. If you're at a smaller school that maybe doesn't have a really strong support network, then what Laura's doing and what we're trying to do to help expand that network and make those connections beyond even your own school, I think is really rich, and I'm glad to have a partner in that process. So thank you again for being on the show. I hope that every athlete sees this and reaches out to you, and you become so busy that you just are complaining, oh my goodness, I just have too many students. What do I do? That's certainly what we hope for you. So do reach out to Laura. Contact again is in the description, and we'll look forward to hearing your story. I look forward to hearing yours, Laura, as your business grows and as the number of students you reach continues to grow. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Scott, and I'm so excited to work with you too.
Thanks for tuning into Global Student Voices. We're committed to bringing you the best advice and to share stories from global students and educators. We need your help. Make sure you subscribe, share, rate, and review our podcast. Follow us on social media for more updates, and we'll see you next time. Until then, stay curious and keep exploring.